Mark Cuban was asked during a recent interview, if you could interview a student that graduated from Harvard University, a great institution as we all know, with $300,000 in debt, or a student that graduated from a local community college with $0 in debt, which one do you interview first? He said without question, he's looking at the one that graduated from the local community college first because they were smart enough to think about their future and not graduate with any debt. He shared this in an interview with Anthony ONeal. Now, Anthony ONeal is part of the Dave Ramsey family and wrote a New York Times bestseller that I recommend all families read. It's called The Debt-Free Degree. It's an amazing book. Now, I've been a big fan of Mark Cuban for quite some time, and I've listened to pretty much every interview I could find online when he discusses higher education. And here are 3 common things I hear him always say when he discusses the value of heading off to college after high school. Number one thing he always says, and he said this with Anthony, is the value is in learning how to learn. You will learn how to learn when you head off to college, but here's my advice to high school teens. Don't wait till you head off to college to see the value in learning how to learn. Whatever it is that interests you about your career in the future, whatever it is you want to do, start learning about it today. Start watching YouTube videos about what interests you. Start reading books around it. Start reaching out to people if you're active online. If you're active on social media, start learning about that. There are plenty of courses that are both, low cost online and free online. Start learning how to learn today. Number 2, Mark always talks about the power of financial literacy, understanding accounting, understanding debt, understanding compound interest. Here's the thing, in high school you're learning a lot probably about Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 and calculus and geometry, but the reality is this. 100% of students need to understand debt. You need to understand basic accounting. I was talking to my daughter recently about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is a multi-billionaire. He's worth over $65 billion. What's interesting about Warren Buffett is his house is valued, his primary residence in Omaha, Nebraska, is valued at $650,000. When Warren Buffett goes to buy a car, he waits until the end of the year. Why? Because he can get a better price. Warren Buffett is the classic millionaire next door. It's another great book I recommend all families, both students and parents, read. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. He lives that philosophy. Mark Cuban always says financial literacy is so important, but again, do not wait until you head off to college to learn it. You can learn it today while you're in high school. Number 3, Mark always talks about the value in higher education being both the networking and the social skills that you'll build. Again, my advice to you as a high school teen, don't wait until you head off to college to build up relationships. Be kind to people in the school hallways. Build those relationships today. There's a lot of hecklers. I call them hecklers. The ones who are out in the stands during, a game, whatever sports you like. And you see those hecklers that are yelling after each play and, being that Monday morning quarterback and telling everybody what they should do. They talk about how you're on social media all the time or on your devices, because the reality is this, 90% of high school teens have a mobile device. Use your mobile device for good. Start building relationships and connecting with people. And one last thing I want to point out. In the online community, there's something called the 90, 10, and 1 rule. 90% of people are just lurkers online. 10% of people are commenting online, right? And so they're commenting back when somebody else posts something and maybe occasionally making a post. Then you have the 1%. They're out there sharing content all the time. Listen, 90% of decision makers, whether it's for college or your future career, will be looking at your digital footprint and seeing what stories are you telling about who you are. Now, if you don't have one, that's of a concern. That's a red flag, because those decision makers a lot of times won't reach out to you if they can't find your profile online. But if you do have a profile online, make sure it's a good profile. Those hecklers, when they're yelling at everybody and saying, teens are online all day. Well, when there's a player on the field, what is that player doing? That player has been coached. That player has the proper equipment, right? So you should be coached. You should have the proper equipment. Be safe while you're online, but use it to your advantage. Online is guaranteed to be part of your future success. Every one of you teens. But use it to your advantage. Use it safely, but start building relationships today. If you want help with any of this, visit us at Help a Team. We have a 10-week program. It's called Go Be the One, because I believe it's your time to go be the one. So again, number one, learn how to learn. Number two, financial literacy. Do not wait to head off to college to understand the basics of debt and of a dollar. And number three, social skills. Build them up in your networking skills. Start building your network, because your network is your net worth. It's your time. Go be the one.